allowed to pass the question, but just one. Okay, all right. Edinburgh is the best city. Yeah. I want to being of office of the Lord Provost. So unfortunately, I don't get to keep
It's quite heavy to carry 2.5 kilo gold on your shoulders.
Well, I don't wear it all day, and it's symbolic of the weight of responsibility. And
being the first openly gay Lord Provost, being a symbol of LGBTQ community.
We are absolutely delighted that so many Indian students, in particular, come to the city. We've been extremely successful. In fact, it has on the water, I'm not sure what impact you have on the world.
What changes have you seen Edinburgh City has gone through during your 30 years of tenure?
The good things is that the city is much cleaner.
Namaste and welcome to Global Desi Podcast. To celebrate the incredible journey of the 30 million global Indians settled outside India, we're here to shine a light on the extraordinary stories of people from all walks of life.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Global Desi Podcast-GDP with PD. Today we have got a distinguished guest with us, none other than the Lord Provost of Edinburgh, Councillor Robert Aldridge. It's an honor to have you here with us on our podcast, Robert. Thank you for joining us.
Very pleased to be here.
So, Robert, how has your day been today? A very busy day?
Today's been not too bad, but a number of meetings this morning and some more this evening. But it's always busy, but it's great fun. As I keep saying, I've got the best job in the world and the best city in the world.
Wow.
It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, so as I know, you have been the longest serving member of the Edinburgh Council with over 30 years of experience. So can you tell us what changes have you seen Edinburgh City has gone through during your 30 years of tenure?
Oh gosh, there've been so many. I mean, there have been some good and some bad,
right,
I suppose. The good things is that the city is much cleaner, less polluted. It's more modern and vibrant. It's more transparent in its politics. We scrutinise things a lot more and a lot better. We've got a fantastic tram route here, which is expanding all the time. But we've still got, worse than it was when I first got in, a housing crisis.
Right.
We're more aware of the extent of poverty in the city, but we're also very aware of our need to get to net zero carbon emissions, and we're understanding just how big a job that is, and that wasn't on the agenda at all when I first got in.
That's great. So a lot has changed. The population has increased. That has led to the housing crisis, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So I'm very interested, I know, but for our viewers and listeners, the badge and the chain, how heavy it is. You wear for most of the ceremonies, and what are its significance? Can you tell us about the...
Well, this is the chain of office of the Lord Provost. So unfortunately, I don't get to keep it when I leave. But it's about 2.5 kilograms of Scottish gold.
Wow, 2.5 kilograms, guys.
Okay. And the badge has got something like 200 diamonds and another 300 very small, brilliant keys in it. So it's quite a valuable piece. I'm not allowed out on my own with it.
Does it ache or pain if you're wearing for a very long time? Because it's quite heavy to carry 2.5 kilo of gold on your shoulders.
Well, I don't wear it every day. It's only when I'm doing official functions today. After a few hours, you do notice. But I suppose it's sort of symbolic of the weight of responsibility and actually some weight of responsibility.
That's a very good response. So he has the responsibility of all of Edinburgh City. So it reminds him that his shoulder is filled with all the responsibility of our citizens in Edinburgh. So, and also I've seen a few other things in your office. There's a maze, there's the city key. Can you tell our viewers what the significance of all of these things?
Well, way back, Edinburgh was, like many cities, a city which had walls around it and city gates, which were closed at night to keep people safe. So we still have city keys, which are used on ceremonial occasions. We every year, the monarch, it's now the king, the queen, comes to the city, and as Lord Provost, I offer the key.
The ceremony which happens.
So that, it's your city is loyal to you. These are your keys. And so far, every time he's said, no, please have them back. The keys are safe in your hands.
Okay.
I don't want to be the first Lord Provost where he says, no, actually, I'm keeping it. So that's the keys to the city. The sword and mace are used particularly at meetings of the full City of Edinburgh Council, where I sit in a chair, sitting by the sword and mace, and that says that the City Council is in session. But they're also used on ceremonial occasions when we do processions to the cathedral and so on.
So very interesting job you got, Provost.
Great fun.
So Provost, I remember last summer when the first time we met, you invited me to your office and you discussed about the charities and the organizations, social organizations I'm part of. I was really impressed with your openness and humbleness. You invited your policy officers and project manager to listen to the ideas of the charities I'm part of. I'm really, really humble and open. Your openness to listen to new ideas. I mean, really thank you for that. And then this opportunity to interview, I'm really thankful for that, Lord Provost. And your tenure as a Lord Provost, I think, has coincided with so many big moments in Scottish and British history, from the joyous Platinum Jubilee celebrations to the celebration of the passing away of Her Majesty the Queen, and the implementation of Operation Unicorn, and then the Ukraine crisis, and then the preparation for the new King Charles week in Edinburgh. So amidst all these numerous events, I've been told that you had 600 plus engagements. You managed that. And
the reason I can manage it is I've got a fantastic team who keep me organized. They organize we have diary meetings 2 times a week. We sort out just how things are going to work. But I have been so honoured and privileged to be part of history. To have been part of celebrating the Platinum Jubilee of Monarch. That's not going to happen again.
No,
exactly. Well, certainly not in our lifetime or my lifetime. The sad death of Her Majesty the Queen, but to be able to be part of representing the city at such a historic event is just it's overwhelming.
So about all these memorable occasions and moments, what was that has a lot of impact on you? Which of these, I know you've been 630, 640 events so far. I don't think you're in the office in more than 600 days, but you had so many occasions.
It's 2 or 3 a day.
Yes. So which of these events or occasions which has personally touched you or has an impact on you?
Well, there's such a wide variety. I'm going to say 2 or 3 because at one end of the scale, one of the most moving things when Her Majesty the Queen died was I had the privilege of being in a very small ceremony just before the coffin left Edinburgh, where there were about 12 of us in the cathedral for a very private service of prayers and thanksgiving. And I will never forget that. It was such a privilege and so moving. So that's one end. Another end of the scale, I suppose, is I have the great pleasure of presenting inspiring volunteer awards every year.
Wow.
And the range of things that volunteers do in this city never ceases to amaze me. There are, I think somebody said there are 27,000 days of volunteering in the city. And it's one of the cities in the UK which has got the highest level of volunteer. And they do everything. And it's all ages. And I was really pleased to be able to present the Lord Provost Award for Inspiring Volunteer of the Year to a young man who's overcome issues with neurodiversity to become a supporter and a leader in his school and in other schools. And he's just fantastic.
That's so amazing. I would really encourage all our listeners and viewers to take participate. If you live in Edinburgh, you do participate in any of this volunteer activity, and Lord Provost really encourage you to participate in so many volunteer opportunities there in Edinburgh.
So I was going to say one other thing which really impressed me.
Yes, please.
I was invited to the 100th birthday celebration of a fantastic woman who was born in the Soviet Union. She fought against the Nazis
Okay.
personally.
Amazing.
She became an interpreter at the Nuremberg war trials, and had married and had settled in Edinburgh. And she was the most wonderful, inspiring woman. She's sadly passed on now, so I
That's fine. That's okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
So now moving on to city of Edinburgh, which is famous for its art and culture. Recently, I was just reading while before this interview, researching about you and the city of Edinburgh. Recently, Time Out magazine has awarded Edinburgh as the best city for culture, and time and again we get awarded as the best city. And for our viewers and listeners, Edinburgh Fringe Festival, it has become the world's leading celebration of art and culture, which is only surpassed by Olympics and World Cup in terms of global ticketing event. What an achievement! So tell us, Lord Provost, when you took office, you have this Edinburgh Fringe Festival, then the Royal Military Tattoo, then we have Art Festival, Film Festival, and in winter you attend the Diwali function and the Ottomani. There's so much to do in Edinburgh. So how does this festival contribute Edinburgh's reputation as a global tourist destination, and what impact it has on locals, like for their jobs, businesses, and livelihood? Can you explain about
All
it?
right. Well, all of the festivals together are hugely important for a whole range of businesses in the city, particularly the hospitality industry and for tourism. But the festival, the International Festival, Festival Fringe, Film Festival, Jazz and Blues Festival, all of these festivals that and the oldest film festival that's been running continuously in the world, the Edinburgh International Film Festival. So they all add to the diversity and the vibrancy of the city. And particularly in August, the city just has a party.
Wow.
It hardly seems.
Yes.
We're quite a small city, only about 550,000 inhabitants. But during August, the population more than doubles. The streets are packed. There's an energy about the place. There are creative people from all over the world come together, and a lot happens. It's just great. Then, of course, we have Diwali, Dussehra. We also have the whole mini festivals and so on.
So it does boost the economy of Edinburgh, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
The cultural economy is quite high, I would assume, for Edinburgh.
Well, one thing is we're extremely successful. We are thinking about how we manage the level of tourism better to make sure that people who visit the city get a good experience. Because
indeed, they must have been getting it, I'm sure about it. So the Lord Provost role also involved representing Edinburgh on a global platform as well. So how do you balance the local representation of cities standing in the world stage? And I know that you have been a great supporter of Ukraine, and I really appreciate and commend your efforts. So I know some of your events like Scotland for Ukraine, which you've been running. And so tell us about all those global things where you represent Edinburgh, including this Scotland for Ukraine, and what impact it has on world.
Well, I'm not sure what impact we have on the world, but I certainly see Edinburgh as an outward-looking city, an international capital city, and a very welcoming city. And I'm very pleased that we've been able to offer displaced families from Ukraine homes and support for as long as they need to stay. And if there are any of those displaced families watching this, I would just like to say to them, you are extremely welcome for as long as you wish to be here. But we know you want to be back home as soon as circumstances allow. The people of Edinburgh gave their hearts to the displaced families in Ukraine. It's been superb, but also the people displaced from Ukraine have made a huge impact on the city. The culture, everything that they brought to the city helps to make the city the kind of diverse city and vibrant city that I want it to be.
Thank you, Lord Provost. I know you've been doing amazing work. So while we are on the global and geopolitical issues, I would like to let you know that most of our listeners are global Desi, which means the Indian diaspora, which is living outside India, whether it's the British Indians, Scottish Indian, or American Indians. Most of our listeners and viewers are from that. And you had an first-hand experience interacting and meeting a lot of people from Indian diaspora, including recently you've been part of from last 2 years supporting the INSA's welcome event, where you meet the young students who come to Edinburgh for studies. So you've seen that India is now going to be the third largest economy by 2030 with a 7 trillion economy, and the presence of Indian entrepreneurs, businessmen, and students. So what role do you envision Edinburgh can play in promoting and building a relationship with India and Indian cities, especially in terms of business, technology, and culture?
Well, we are absolutely delighted that so many Indian students in particular come to the city. And I think there's a lot of complementarity between Edinburgh's strengths and a number of the strong industries in India. We've got a growing biodiversity quarter. We've got great IT stuff going on. We've got a video games industry, which is very good, as well as financial services, fantastic universities, real experts in cybersecurity. And I know that there's complementarity between Indian cities who've got that strength and ourselves. So through our partners, whether it's any of our 4 universities, people like the Botanic Garden, I know they do a number of bilateral contacts through all sorts of different ways that our festivals, the cultural exchanges and so on. I know that we've got a lot to gain from a wide range of Indian cities, and I think we can give something back.
Perfect. And one of my cousin brother, he runs a tourism company, and he told me that this year in 2022 and 2023, they have hosted the maximum number of Indian tourists coming to Scotland, which is really fantastic. And I think there's something which I've been in touch with British Council, and they are thinking some student exchange program where local Edinburgh and Glasgow student can go and have some terms of there in India, which I think is a big collaboration between Scotland and India to promote culture, diversity, education, and things like that.
Yes, because I think in the past, this is another change, going back to the first question. In the past, Edinburgh signed agreements with twin cities, which a lot of them just lay in a drawer and nothing happened. Now when we're having contact with cities, sister cities throughout the world, what we want is action to happen, and it to be really of benefit both ways, rather than one-way twinning. So I'm sure there's a lot that we can do.
So this twinning cities just happen between European cities, or there's chances that in future we may have it twinning with Indian cities as well?
There's certainly a chance of partnerships with the Indian cities. Edinburgh has decided not to sign any more twin city agreements. What we decided was that we would encourage specific partnership agreements, whether it's it could be on cybersecurity, it could be on cultural exchange, and working with our partners to make them really valuable on both sides, rather than
so subject
a bit of paper that's there's a nice photograph and nothing happens.
Lord Provost, you mentioned that you and the Edinburgh Council is quite committed to diversity and inclusivity. So what are the specific initiatives you want to tell our viewers and listeners to encourage young people, especially from ethnic minority, to engage in community leadership and civic partnership? And how can we encourage, young people for active citizenship and empowering young people to contribute for Edinburgh's future?
Yeah, I don't think we've been very good, to be honest, at involving young people, or indeed people from our minority ethnic communities, in civic life as much as we should. But there is an excellent organisation, Edinburgh Lothian Racial Equality Council, LREC, who are very happy to help mentor people to bring them into understanding what's involved in standing for public office and in being elected, what the job actually entails. because I think it's really important that people have some kind of a mentor to really understand what's going on. But one of the things is there isn't a simple route in being elected. You've got to fight your campaign. You've got to make yourself popular in a local area. You've got to keep working at it. So it's not simply a matter of
you're living a trap for 30 years continuously been serving for the.
Well, I started off extremely tall, but all the leafleting means that I'm now only 5'6". But it's no. It is. It's a lot of hard work, and I mean the other thing to say is that people should think about any of the political parties that are closest to their own beliefs, and then join and work their way through. And all of the political parties would, I'm sure, be very much welcome greater involvement. But I think there's a lot more we can do. As for young people, we've had a consultation going called Edinburgh 2050, which is about what sort of Edinburgh we want to see in 2050. And we particularly involve young people in schools and colleges in helping to shape just what kind of a city we want. And we hope that with them being involved in that, seeing that developing into a plan, they will want to be the people to make it work. So it's trying to get people involved in seeing that if you think about something and want it to happen, you can make it happen.
Amazing. So all the young listener and viewers, so you listen to what Lord Provost has just mentioned, that there's ample opportunities for you to participate, and the City of Edinburgh Council is open for anyone. Choose your party, join politics, and you can serve in the City Council as a councillor. Thank you for that, Lord Provost.
Well, one other thing is, I think there are two kinds of people involved in politics. There are people who want to be something and people who want to do something.
Yeah.
And I would advise you to be someone who wants to do something.
That's a very apt advice. So be the doers, the one who want to do, not just want to be there just for the sake of name. So thank you for that excellent advice, Lord Provost. And do you think that there'll be time in future when we can have a Lord Provost from the ethnic minority?
Oh, I certainly hope so. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yeah. I mean, how do I think our first female Lord Provost in the 1980s. So not that long ago.
Yeah.
And up until then, it was all elderly white males like myself. So what we need to do is just work to make sure that the Lord Provost and the council reflect much better the diversity of the city. And anyone can get there, but it takes a bit of work.
But you have to be doer, as you mentioned, isn't it? So based on your doing capabilities. So there's one question which has been asked when I posted that I want to interview Lord Provost. So that it may not be, you may not know the exact answer, maybe your councillors may know, but it has been requested, so I'm just asking. Okay. So no, you can reply whatever you know. So this is related to, as we discussed at the start of the interview, about the housing crisis. So Edinburgh is facing a housing crisis, and what are the steps the council has taken to tackle this housing crisis? And some landlords are concerned of the new legislation which has come in place of restricting the short-term letting. They think that it might impact the tourism and other businesses. So how do you think that council should strike a balance, protecting the right of tenant as well as protecting the right of the business? So what do you think about the housing crisis and how are you tackling that?
Okay, I mean, the real housing crisis is for people who cannot afford to buy, and house prices in Edinburgh are very high.
Yeah.
So we need affordable rented housing for people. Now, there's already been a policy that where any new housing is being built, a high proportion of that, that's 25 or 30%, has to be
given to
affordable housing. So any developer wants to develop housing developments, they have to make sure that a high proportion is affordable. So that's part of it. But we have got an acute shortage. Part of it is due, and this is where I get a bit part political, due to the sale of so many council houses during the 1980s and 1990s under the right to buy, which were not replaced.
Yes.
So there simply aren't the same number of social rented houses available. Part of it is Edinburgh is really successful. So our population is growing really very fast, and we don't have the variety of accommodation and the affordable accommodation to deal with that. And part of it, and this links into the second part of your question, is the enormous growth of the short-term letting sector. Because what that has done is it's taken a number of flats out of the reckoning to be being rented by permanent residents. So they go to tourists rather than residents. So answering the second part of your question, getting the balance right is important. And, I'd recognise that Airbnb and other platforms which offer a chance for budget accommodation for people visiting the city is important.
Yeah.
But we've also got to balance that against the need for residents to have access to good quality rented accommodation for their permanent living arrangements. So I know that some people operating businesses are a bit concerned about this, but it's just a matter of trying to work our way through.
I'm sure you'll find some solution.
Well, we try, and I'm sure it won't be right to begin with. I think it'll take a while.
So to all our viewers and listeners, the Lord Provost and his office is working to solve this housing crisis, and you all need to support him as well. So, Lord Provost, we're coming to the end of the interview. So there's one final question, which is a bit personal. I hope you're okay with that. Yeah.
Fire away.
So you being the first openly gay Lord Provost, your journey has been very inspiring. How do you think your identity has influenced your leadership style and interaction within the community? And we'd also like to hear your thoughts that being a symbol of LGBTQ community and you're holding such a significant post, do you think that you're being the openly gay person will give more opportunities to people to open up and bring more inclusivity in other posts in Scotland? What do you think about that?
The second part, I hope so. I mean, I said right at the beginning that being gay, it's not a crusade, it's just part of who I am.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that when people see that it is perfectly normal and ordinary for myself and Colin, my partner, to be walking at the head of a procession or meeting the royals or whatever it is, that it just normalizes what should be a straightforward part of if somebody is gay or whatever, that they should just be themselves and they can be themselves. And I would hate it to be that I am somehow leading a charge for every Lord Provost to be gay. It's not like that. It's just whoever you are,
be yourself.
And wherever you come from, you can be a Lord Provost. Be yourself. Just work hard at it and be yourselves.
Be very inspiring, Lord Provost. I'm sure that many people get inspiration from it and open up and the Edinburgh city become more inclusive and it's very normal for us.
I suppose the other thing I hope that comes out of it is to say to people in Edinburgh and beyond that Edinburgh is a welcoming, a diverse city, an inclusive city, and one where people can feel safe and secure.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lord Provost, for answering all the questions very candidly and openly. Thank you so much. So we have a tradition at the end of the interview. There's something fun, We are going to.
I'm getting there.
I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. So don't think too much. Whatever comes to your mind,
right?
You can just say. You're allowed to pass a question, but just one, okay?
All right. I'll choose the one again.
Yeah, so choose wisely, So I'm not going to ask anything fishy, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
So which celebrity would you choose as your best friend and why?
Oh, no, that's difficult. But I think it would be somebody like Stephen Fry, who I think is witty, funny, very intelligent, would be great fun on a night out, but also has got a serious side. So I think...
So Stephen Fry, if you're listening this, Lord Provost want to my apologies. So moving on. So next question. So what is your source of inspiration? Is there a leader? Is there a book or a phrase which you look forward to get inspiration? Is there something which inspires you? It can be anything.
Actually, a thing which is always at the back of my mind and which has inspired me as a counsellor right the way through was very early on in my career. A woman who had experienced domestic violence came in to see me, and she could not speak directly to me because she'd been so badly abused by a man.
Oh man!
And I offered for a female counsellor to see her, and she went, "No, I'm determined to do this. And she talked at the wall, and she told me her story, and she was so brave. And that's kind of inspiring me. And I thought, right, there are a lot of people who go through a lot of stuff, and they are so strong internally, and they overcome such barriers. She just inspires me.
Thank you for that. So there's another question. If you had to invent a new holiday, so what would we be celebrating? What would be that?
Oh, new holiday. I think we should. Well, my birthday would be a good holiday. It's April. It's a good time of year. Good time of year, then.
Okay, that's nice. So the next question is a bit tricky, and I'm soon going to.
So this might be the past.
I'm soon going to interview the Lord Provost of Glasgow as well. So as you all know, there's a friendly banter between Edinburgh and Glasgow. So Lord Provost of Edinburgh, why do you think Edinburgh is a better city than Glasgow?
I'm going to be diplomatic, and I'm going to say that both cities are very different and both have very different strengths. But I think, in fact, I know that Edinburgh is the best city.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. So there's the last one. So what do you love most about the job, about your job, so that our viewers and listeners will get inspiration? What is the best thing you love about your job, Mr. Roberts?
Every day is busy. And every day is different. I get to meet such a wide variety of people. I get to see things that nobody else would get to see. I get to get involved. And I even was dragged on the stage to try and play the bagpipes for the first time.
Wow.
So I get ritually humiliated. But no, it's just a great honor to be part of it. And, I know I'm passing through. I'm number 258. There's going to be another 258. So I have the chance for 5 years just to really enjoy having the honor of representing people in this wonderful city.
Amazing. That's so amazing. Thank you so much, Lord Provost. It was an honor to interview you, and you have candidly replied all the questions nicely. And
I didn't pass.
Yes, that's so amazing. And I'm sure that our listener would get some inspiration and should learn from this interview. I would request all our listeners and viewers to follow Lord Provost and his great work on Twitter at the Lord Provost, Edin. So all his amazing work, all the civic reception and all the things he do is posted on his Twitter. So as we conclude, is there a message or a call of action you want to share on the camera to our viewers and listeners in Edinburgh or beyond anywhere?
I suppose I don't want to sound too pompous or anything, but it's just aim high and be yourself. And if you can do both of those things, I think anybody can achieve anything.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We'll soon be back with another episode of Global Desi Podcast. Till then, keep listening and keep enjoying the podcast. Thank you.